Elena was 31 years old when this story began. She had been teaching English for several years at Oxford University, and the role suited her. The quiet rows of students, the chalk dust on her fingertips, the way grammar could be explained with precision and patience. Teaching was not only her profession, it was her refuge. It gave her a structure when her private life felt scattered, a purpose when the evenings grew long and lonely. Most mornings followed a pattern. Elena woke to the soft ring of her alarm, made herself a pot of tea, and prepared notes for her classes. Her small flat near the university was filled with books, novels she had read many times, textbooks she used for lessons, and poetry collections that reminded her of gentler, more hopeful days. She lived alone, and though she told herself she was content with this solitude, there were nights when the silence pressed against her chest like a weight. The kettle's whistle, the creak of the floorboards, and the faint hum of traffic outside were the only sounds that accompanied her. Once, years before, she had loved. She had given her heart to a man who promised permanence, who whispered about forever. She believed him, trusted him. But one day, without explanation, he walked away. He left not with anger, but with indifference, and that indifference wounded her more than fury ever could. Elena closed the door to her heart after that. No more love, she decided. No more fragile promises. She would pour her energy into teaching, into shaping words for others, not for herself. And then Leo walked into her classroom. He was 22, an adult learner but still young, his manner carrying both seriousness and uncertainty. He had joined her beginner English course, eager to improve so he could study in the United Kingdom. He was not like the other students, who often filled the air with chatter, stumbling through vocabulary lists with noisy enthusiasm. Leo was quieter. He listened with unusual attentiveness, as though each word she spoke mattered. He always chose a seat in the third row by the window, arriving early, leaving later than most, and sometimes lingering as if reluctant to step back into the wider world. Elena noticed his eyes first. Dark, steady, searching. When she explained a concept, he met her gaze directly, and she felt an unfamiliar warmth rush through her, something she had not felt in years. She reminded herself that he was her student and she his teacher, that such feelings were not only inappropriate but dangerous. Yet her heart betrayed her. Each morning, she found herself scanning the rows for his familiar seat, listening for his voice when he spoke, watching for his smile. One afternoon, after class, Leo approached her desk with a book in his hand. "Miss Elena," he asked gently, "do you know a quiet place to read?" The simplicity of the question unsettled her. She thought for a moment, then told him about a small bookshop nearby with a cafe tucked inside. "It's quiet, warm, and has the smell of old paper," she said. He smiled, thanked her, and walked away. That evening, Elena sat by her window with her usual cup of tea. But her thoughts strayed not to her work or her solitude, but to Leo, the timbre of his voice, the way his question had lingered in the air. She tried to push the thoughts aside. She told herself sternly that such feelings were unwise, unprofessional. But still, a small smile crept across her face as she imagined him sitting in that very bookshop, turning pages slowly, absorbing every word. A week later, she found herself at that bookshop, intending to buy something to read. She told herself it was coincidence, but when she passed by the cafe inside, she saw him. Leo, sitting with a cup of coffee, a book in his hand, his shoulders relaxed. He looked up, saw her, and smiled. "Miss Elena," he said warmly, "you were right. This place is perfect." She hesitated, torn between retreat and engagement. But he stood, gestured toward the chair across from him. "Would you like to sit for a moment?" he asked. Her heart beat quickly, but her voice surprised her. "Yes," she said softly. And so she sat. They talked that afternoon, not only about English, but about his country, his family, and her life in England. He asked questions with genuine curiosity, and she answered honestly, telling him about her quiet evenings, her fondness for peaceful places. "You seem like a calm person," he observed. She smiled but offered no reply. When at last she rose to leave, he said, "It was nice to talk with you." She nodded, her heart heavy yet strangely light. That night, she could not sleep. The following day, she met her friend Caroline, another teacher at the university. Over lunch, Caroline studied her face. "You look different," she said. "Is something wrong?" Elena hesitated, then confessed, "There is a student. I feel something for him." Caroline's eyes widened, then softened. "That can be difficult," she said carefully. Elena nodded, her voice hushed. "He is kind, smart, attentive. But I do not want to feel this way." Caroline reached across the table, squeezed her hand. "You are human, Elena. Just be careful." Elena tried to heed the advice. She tried to act normal in class, to ignore the pull in her chest. But it was not easy. When Leo spoke, her ears tuned to his words more closely than anyone else's. When he smiled, she found herself returning the gesture without thought. She despised her lack of control, yet she could not suppress it. One rainy afternoon, after class, Leo walked beside her. He held an umbrella, offering to share. She declined politely, saying she liked the rain. He smiled, said nothing more, and together they walked in silence until he turned a corner and disappeared. Her hair clung damp to her face, her shoes squelched with water, yet she felt an odd warmth within. The next day, in one of her books, Elena found a folded paper. It was a letter. There was no name, but she knew who had written it. The words were simple yet powerful. "I know I should not say this. I know you are my teacher. But I think about you. I will not cross any line. I just wanted you to know." Her hands trembled as she read. She flushed with heat, folded the letter quickly, and locked it away in her drawer. She said nothing to him. She did not reply. Yet that night, she read the letter again, more than once. Days passed. The course neared its end. On the final day, Elena gave her last lesson, handed out certificates, listened as her students clapped and thanked her. They filed out, one by one, until only Leo remained. He approached her desk, his eyes steady. "So this is the end," he said softly. She nodded. "Yes. You are not my student anymore." He smiled faintly. "No. I'm not." They stood in silence, the air thick with unspoken words. At last he said, "Thank you, Miss Elena. For teaching me, and for more than that." She wanted to answer differently, but all she could manage was, "Good luck, Leo." He turned, walked out, and the classroom felt unbearably empty. In the weeks that followed, Elena went about her duties as before. She taught new classes, greeted new students, marked essays, prepared lessons. Yet something was missing. She thought of Leo daily, his voice, his smile, his quiet attentiveness. She visited the cafe by the bookstore, hoping to see him again, but he never appeared. She walked home with her bag heavy on her shoulder, her heart heavier still. At night, she cooked simple meals, watched the news, read novels, but her thoughts always drifted to him. Months passed. She grew restless, walking more in the evenings. Along the river, she watched the water move slowly, children play, couples laugh, and older people feed the birds. She sat on benches, closed her eyes, and wondered what it would be like to go back in time, if only for a moment. One evening, meeting Caroline again in their usual cafe, Elena admitted she still thought of him. Caroline squeezed her hand. "Then maybe your story isn't finished." The words echoed in her mind long after. And then, one Saturday at the market, as Elena lingered near a stall of yellow tulips, her favorite, she heard a voice behind her. "Miss Elena." She turned. It was Leo. His hair longer, a small beard softening his jaw, his face older, but his eyes still kind. Her heart leapt. "Leo," she whispered. "Hello." He smiled. "You still like tulips?" She nodded. They make me happy. Silence stretched between them, thick and delicate. Then he asked, "Can we talk?" They walked to a bench beneath a tree and sat. The world seemed hushed around them. "I wanted to see you many times," he said, "but I didn't know if I should." She looked at him, admitted quietly, "I thought about you too." His eyes softened. "You were my teacher. I never forgot that. But I also never forgot how you made me feel." She lowered her gaze. "You are not my student anymore." "No," he said firmly, "I'm not." He told her he worked at a bookshop near the old library. It was quiet, filled with stories, reminding him of her class. She listened, her heart racing. At last, he asked, "Do you still feel it?" She hesitated, then confessed, "Yes. I do." He exhaled, relief washing across his face. "So do I." He added softly, "I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to harm your work. I just want to know you. Not as a teacher, but as a person." His words struck her with their honesty. She whispered, "I don't know if we should." He smiled gently. "Then let's not rush. Let's just meet. As friends." And so they did. They began to see each other weekly. At cafes, in the park, by the river. They talked about books, about families, about dreams. Sometimes they sat in silence, but it was a soft silence, full of meaning. Elena felt lighter each time. She confided in Caroline, who asked simply, "Are you happy?" Elena smiled. "Yes. Very." Caroline's reply was simple, "Then it's okay. He's not your student anymore. It's not wrong." Their relationship grew, not in grand gestures but in quiet moments, a shared joke, a walk through a museum, a film in a small theater, a bookmark gifted with the words, "Thank you for seeing me." Elena kept it close, touched by its simplicity. She felt alive again. And yet, beneath her happiness, a shadow lingered. She was older. He was younger. She had once been his teacher. People might talk. Her career could be threatened. The questions circled in her mind. One gray afternoon, sitting outside a cafe, she voiced her fears. "I care about you, Leo," she said, "but I don't know if this can work. You are just beginning your life. I have already. We all go through hard times, but stories like this can help us feel seen. Thank you for watching and come back for more real moments.